welcome
Hello.
to the first episode of
The
the
Gathering
Gathering
Place.
Place podcast.
So excited.
Very excited. My
So
phone-
excited your phone's already
and my
ringing.
phone starts going off. So we probably need to figure out what to do with those from here on out.
It's
but
okay. It's real life.
Yep, it's real life. This is a literal passion project for me. Like I've been wanting to do a podcast for probably 3 years now.
Yes.
And it's
probably.
taken us this long to get it to come into fruition. And so here we are. Hope got our little backdrop and it looks really, really good and cool. And I'm so excited about it. So anyways, this is episode 1 of the Gathering Place podcast. I am Joe Seaman, a real estate agent in the Augusta area, North Augusta, Aiken, South Carolina area. And this is my lovely bride, Hope. She keeps all the things together.
I was trying to figure out what my title is. I have a lot of titles.
Family, work, hobbies,
All the
beach.
things.
She keeps all the
I don't really
things
know.
together.
I don't know what my title would be.
And so she's the woman.
Okay.
All right. So anyways, here we go. We're kicking off the very first episode of the Gathering Place podcast.
Awesome. So what are we going to talk about today?
We are going to talk about our journey into the real estate world. So I've not been in the real estate world. We're celebrating my 5-year anniversary this month. This is March of 2023.
Yes.
And
I had to think about that myself. Go
I've
ahead.
literally been in real estate. I've had a real estate license for 5 years this month. And so a lot of times when we go all over the country and we are sharing our numbers with people, they think we've been in the business a lot longer than 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, they're thinking we've been in the business 15, 20 years, and it's not the case. We've just been able to grow and climb really, really fast. Very fortunate.
So how did we get here?
All right, so let's back up. I like to tell people a lot of times that I do not run my real estate business, our real estate business, like most agents run their business. We run it like a true, legit business. We have profit and loss sheets, expense reports, taxes, payroll, like
All the things.
all the things like a true corporation would have. And so we look at those monthly.
Well,
and
you do.
I do. So I'm a numbers guy. I love numbers. I can spit out any number. I can tell you anything about numbers. I
he
love
can remember
numbers.
numbers over
Yeah.
words at any given point. So
Like Hope can tell you where we went 10 years ago
Yes.
and ate and what we ate for our
and
anniversary
probably what we were wearing.
10 years ago, and I would
Yes.
have no clue. But I could probably tell you
How much it cost.
how much it costs, or like my most favorite thing I do with my kids is when we're riding around town, I'm like, your dad sold that one back in May of
Yes.
2019. Your dad sold that one in 2020, and it cost $259,000. And so
Yeah.
I can remember those type things. I just don't remember what you remember. Hope remembers detail.
Yeah, I do remember details. So segue into that because we're talking about how you got into real estate.
Yeah.
You used to do that with billboards.
Yes. So, yes, back up. I started working with my dad at 12 years old. He owned a sign manufacturing shop, where they manufactured billboards, gas price signs, these big, huge signs that you see on the side of the interstate. We would manufacture those and install those all over the country. And so it's a really cool business, but I started going in the summers and when, school would be out at
And you
12 years
loved
old.
it.
I actually hated it because my job was
Oh,
when they were in the shop, like they'd have these big 5-gallon buckets of like nuts and bolts and washers. Like
You had to separate
there would
them.
be like 20 buckets of those that they would collect through the year. And they would love when I come in for the summer because that was my job, is to separate all those. And I would absolutely
that
just,
would
it would kill me every
You
single
used
day.
to have to
Like, I
weed
hated
vinyl
it.
too.
And I had to like weed vinyl. So the big numbers
Yeah.
on the billboards, like gas price signs that they flip to change the price of gas, like I'd have to cut that out and put that on the metal. And so that was a cool part. So, but the sorting nuts, bolts, and washers was not cool at all. Like I literally dreaded that.
But it built character.
Built a ton of character. So I started there at 12 years old. So I worked for the family business from 12 to 39. So 27 years of working in
Don't
the
tell them
family
how old
business.
you are now because then that tells them how old I am.
So,
but keep going.
Anyways, so I don't know if it was midlife crisis. I don't know what it
No.
was, But at 39, I decided to change total career. So not only did we have a sign shop, we had storage building facility, we had a hardware store, we had a land company, and had a foundation drilling company where we would drill foundations for these billboards and large signs all over the country. And so
You tapped out. Like, honestly,
at
that's
39, yeah, I went to my dad for a pay raise because we had 4 kids. At the time, we had 5
had 5 under roof.
under roof. But yeah, and things were more expensive. And so I went to my dad for a raise, and he was like, "Hey, son, you're tapped out. Like, I can't
Very
pay you."
sweetly. Like,
Yeah,
very
yeah, yeah,
sweetly.
yeah. Yeah, there wasn't any
No.
harsh talk or anything like that. But the only way I could make more money was to go out on the road, and like my dad spends 4 to 5 nights a week out on the road, and that just wasn't feasible
Right.
with all the kids and Hope, and just wasn't feasible for us to do.
Right.
So, anyways, mid life, 39 years old, changed career paths like randomly. So I gave my dad a 6-month notice. Didn't have a clue what I was going to do.
No.
No clue. Like, literally, when I say no clue,
Very scary.
I literally had no clue what I was going to do. So I was putting in resumes at local plants around here. Just wasn't hitting on anything. And that 6 months turned into 7 months. And I went to lunch one day. I can remember it just like it was yesterday, even though it was 5 years ago. On the way back, I randomly called a friend of mine that was in real estate and just asked her. She had been in real estate for 8 years at the time. Asked her what it took to become a real estate agent. She looked like she did well. What it took to become a real estate agent, what were the requirements, what would I have to go through, things like that. And I can remember pulling into the parking lot where my office was at the time, and her telling me that clear as day right now, she said, "Joe Seaman, in the 8 years that I've been an agent, I have talked everyone that has come to me out of trying to become a real estate agent. You're the very first person I'm telling to go for it." So she gave me the real estate school to look up and register for. I'm doing all this on my phone while we're sitting there in the parking lot. Luckily, I looked up the real estate school. At that time, they didn't have online courses. You had
Yeah,
to
you had
actually
to go in
physically
person.
be in person,
Yeah.
which was interesting in itself, going back to school at 39 years old.
But you loved it.
I loved it, but it was an in-person class from
Yeah.
8 to 5 or 5:30 every single day.
Yes.
And it was an
Columbia,
hour
Lexington.
and
Yeah.
hour and 15 minutes away or so, something like that. So had to leave early in the morning and got back late at night. And even when I got back, like, I would lock myself in the office and just study
Yes.
what we went over that day. I was so nervous about not passing the real estate school, even though it was nerve-wracking. So anyways,
And Big Joe your dad wasn't like 100% on board with that. You told him
Yeah.
what you were doing. He
I
wasn't
told him-
100%. He was scared. He was a little nervous because he had had some friends go into real estate. And
he had many friends
and
go
they had
into real
not
estate and
done
they just
very well.
couldn't, yeah, they couldn't
well,
make it
yes,
work.
they couldn't make
And-
it a full-time
Yeah.
income.
Yeah.
And so, but
Yeah.
you had that in your head. This is what you were going to do. So.
Yes. And so,
And you took us with you.
right. Went to real estate school for 30 days or so. Completely wrecked my brain of any and everything, just taking in all this information. I had been around the real estate industry pretty much my whole life.
Yeah.
New construction, the land company, a lot of different things around real estate, but the real estate school was so different. All right. So they're teaching you all this stuff that I never really applied. And so they're teaching you all this new information, and it was tough. It was strenuous. And so I remember the weekend before the exam, like, I don't know that I even came out the office. I think Hope shoved my food,
No, like you
crackers and
literally
water,
did.
water under the door, as I was studying
It's like,
for the
boys, don't talk to your
exam.
dad.
Yeah, and
Don't
so
even
it was
look in his direction.
it was tough, and I overworked myself. I was stressed out about it too much. It really wasn't that bad. So, passed the real estate school the first try.
First try, which is kind of unheard of in itself.
A lot of times, yeah, there were only 3 of us out of 24 that passed the first time, and then went on to take
State
the
and
state
national.
exam.
Yeah.
2 of us out of the 3 passed that the first time, and so interesting little journey. getting a real estate license after being in such a different world for so long.
Right.
And so it was interesting. And, you know, my thought of coming into real estate was I'll get this license. I'll shadow this real estate agent that I'm going to join their team. I'll shadow them. We'll look at beautiful houses all day long. We'll grab
the
some
things you think
lunch.
are
We'll
gonna
go pick
happen.
up checks from closing.
Yeah.
I'll be able to go buy a new white BMW and dress in a suit every day. And I quickly found
That is
out
not the
that
case.
is not the case. So it was interesting to say the
Yes.
least. I started, let's see, I got a real estate license in March. We took a little bit of time off, got some things done around our house and made it look like somebody actually lived there again. Like got the yard stuff done and, you know, painted shutters and just got it freshened up and things like that. And then we live in the Augusta, Georgia area. In the first week of April, the whole world
It
focuses
just
on
stops.
the Masters golf tournament here.
Yes.
And so we got through that week. We are one that rents our house out during that week. And so we got it ready to rent, went to the beach, and then came back. The very next week, I started feet on the ground into real estate.
Yes.
And, you know, it was just a different world completely. Working with my dad, everything was very regimented. You know, I went into the office at 8 o'clock in the morning every day. I knew what I was going to do until 5:30 or 6:30 every single day, Monday through Friday, sometimes
And really
Saturdays.
after that time frame too.
Yeah, a lot of
And
times
even on the weekends.
it went through the weekends, late into the night. But I knew what I was going to do. I knew on Thursday I had payroll to do. I knew this certain day I had to do IFTA forms. I knew I had to do all the billing on certain days. And so coming into real estate, it's kind of you wait on somebody to call you and then you go show houses. And so through the team, they were giving me what we call leads. And so leads are potential buyers. And they were very transparent with me up front. They said, these are the Zillow leads. These are not the cream of the crop. You might close 1 out of 100.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, I can do that. Not a
Right.
problem. So I start dialing like a telemarketer and calling these people and trying to get them on the phone, talk to them.
That's where your marketing degree came in. Very handy.
Yes, and I do have a marketing degree and an accounting degree. But I just got on the phone and just tried to drum up some business because I'm thinking, all right, we're the second week of April. I'm going to close something by the end of April. And boy, was I absolutely just wrong about that.
Yes.
So fortunately, we had saved up a little nest egg for me to come into real estate. We had also sold like our camper, our boat, and a Jeep
Yeah.
prior to me coming into real estate to kind of have
Just
that
because we knew like things were going to be a little different from having a
and-
steady paycheck.
Right. I knew we were going to commission based.
Yes.
So it wasn't going to be getting a check every Friday. It was going to be a check when we closed on something. So I'm thinking,
Yeah.
all right, second week of April, I'm probably going to close something by the end of May. That was not the case at all. So
No.
little did I know that it took a good little while before
30, 60, 90 days.
about 90 days is
What you
when
do today, you see
I actually
60, 90 days away.
closed something about 90 days out from coming into real estate. It was tough. Our nest egg was dwindling a whole lot quicker than I
Yeah.
thought. Mortgage payment, insurance payment, car payment, boys' school tuition. It was a lot. Like
It was. Thankfully, we are a part of a different MLM type business,
Yes.
and that did help.
it helped. So it
So
supplemented.
it kind of supplemented along the way, but
yeah,
still all
barely.
things got really
It was
tight. Hmm.
very, very, very uncomfortable. It was very uncomfortable for months. I can remember just laying in the bed at night, just watching the ceiling fan go round and round and round because I couldn't sleep, just figuring out how we were going to make ends meet. Like, when am I going to close and things like that. So it was a good 90 days before I actually closed on our first property.
Right.
And then it did start happening, but, you know, being on a team, the broker gets their split, and then the team gets their split, and then you're left with like a little bit, or this team's structure was we
Yeah, I
were
was about
left
to
with
say,
a
we
little
have a
bit.
good structure.
We have a very good structure, but getting there towards the end of that kind of where our money was running out, essentially. It was tough. So I can remember actually going in. So everybody's got the little pickle jar or something in their closet.
Ours is a glass Coca-Cola bottle. I don't even know where it came from.
I don't know where, but it's like this tall. It's like 30 inches tall or something. But we throw all our spare change in that. I can remember going
and
when our money was
kind of stuff up.
Yeah, when our money was kind of getting thin, I was literally dumping out to get quarters and whatever I could to put gas in my car to go show these people property. Like, it was tough.
Yeah.
That's how thin everything got. I can actually remember Hope calling at a grocery store and saying, hey, I'm at the grocery store and our debit card's not working. I'm sitting there at work at the office going, I don't know how to help you, honey.
That was very uncomfortable.
It was uncomfortable. So it was very uncomfortable.
So we've learned a lot.
We've learned a lot. So
and there's actually a lot more of that story too that we can probably.
Yes, going on the team, I learned a ton of great, valuable things, and I learned a ton of things of what not to do with our team. And so really had no intentions of even starting a team. It just kind of naturally fell in my lap. So anyways,
we'll segue into that.
We've kind of had, that's a whole different podcast. Like that might actually be a 2 or 3 parter.
That's a whole different one. We'll go to that one next.
We learned a lot through that one. So anyways, what's your take on what we had endured during those times?
I think we should share that on another podcast. I think this is probably a good time to wrap this one up.
Okay. So.
And go into the next one.
That's it.
That's a whole nother podcast. That's it. My opinions are a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah. So we were talking earlier about we're both talkers. We both have a lot of words. We both have a lot to share. So, and then our boys are talkers as well. So trying to get a word in edgeways around our house is pretty difficult.
Again, I'll have a whole nother podcast here.
We're loud. And our daughter-in-law, bless her heart, when she came into our life, she's very quiet and very mild-mannered.
Yeah.
She did not know how to take us at all. In fact, one of our other son's fiancés does not know how to take us either because she's, again, quiet and very mild-mannered. So, but anyways, we're loud and
it's all right.
Yep, but that's who we are. But this is the first episode. What's it called?
The Gathering Place.
The Gathering. Now, I know what podcast is called, but you're the first time you do something like pilot episode.
Clearly.
So got a great cameraman behind the camera there, Drew Eubanks. He's going to be on one of these episodes at some point. So he's got a lot to share too. He has a lot of words too. So
all right.
It's going to be good. So
we'll see you on the next one.
We're going to see y'all on the next one. Thank y'all for joining us on the pilot episode of The Gathering Place. We have tons and tons and tons of topics. Like, I literally see this going into the hundreds or even thousands of episodes because we have so much to talk about what's just happened over the last little bit. We've lived a lot of life in our time together. So, anyways, thank y'all for joining. Hope y'all join us for the next episode. And then we'll just go from there. We'll see where it takes us. So, bye.
Bye.